today. You're awesome. Don't forget about it. Today, I'm joined with Lola. She has Yetunde in her name, but her name is Lola. So she's a builder. She's a product creator, and she builds amazing stuff using Bubble. Bubble and other no code too. So today we're going to be discussing how you would approach building scalable products with no code, especially if you're building for market. The African market is pretty big. There's a whole lot to think about. So we're just going to approach it from a personal point of view. That's how we're going to approach it today. So Lola is going to be doing most of the talking today, and I'm going to be listening just like you guys, right? Hi Lola, how you doing?
Hi, hi. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much for coming. You're awesome. Did I tell you you're one of the best Bubble developer I know? Yeah, two fingers like this. You're awesome.
I, you are too kind. I don't think so.
So,
You are too kind.
no, really, really, one thing I figured is that lots of people can call themselves developers and never build a. They know how to use the tool, but never build a product with it. But you've used the tool, you understood the tool, and you've gone all the way to build a product with it. So, I don't really think anyone who can create animations and all of those stuff for me is the best. I really think that if you can build a product with a particular thing, you learned it, you can build a product with that thing. I think you're like 100 times better than somebody who says, "I know this thing," and has never built a product with it or built anything with it that other people. That doesn't mean they don't know it, but they've never built ever. So that's why I'm saying like you're one of the best Bubble developer I know. Building a thriving business with Bubble is not an easy feat. So you agree now, right?
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Oh, definitely, you're welcome. So let's take it back a little bit. So, how did you get into no code? I mean, before the whole business, before the whole idea, how did you get into the no code space personally?
Okay, so that's the thing. I think for other people, they came into no code or low code from point of wanting to learn. But for me, I came into no code from a point of I had an idea and I needed to build a product.
Yeah,
I did not afford at the time developers, which in hindsight was a good idea because the idea was not fully fleshed out. It was still new in my mind at the time. So I really could not, I could afford the numbers the developers were calling. And so I
yeah,
was looking for ways I could build something simple without spending a lot of money. And so that's how I stumbled on Bobo. And so I learned by building something that I needed to work. So for some people, they'll just build a to-do app and they're okay. I have never built a to-do app. I really don't
yeah,
know. I've never built a to-do app. I started with building a cart. It was the first thing I did was a shopping cart. Like how do you add items to a cart? I think that was one of the first things I built. This was before the responsive engine. This was way back before all of that came out. Yeah, so that's how I got into no code and low code a bit. Yeah, so that's what my journey was like. Yeah,
So you didn't really build a directory. When you build a to-do list, the next thing is supposed to be a directory, right? You didn't
build
build
the
that.
direct. No, no, I've not had the pleasure. I have gone ahead to build other things. Oh, I have then, of course, now built a directory with so one of the groups I'm in, we built the group's website, and in the part of the website is a directory of members, and so I finally did then build a directory, but I didn't build the directory to start with. I built the PBN site like
Mm.
2 years ago. Yeah, so that's the first time I built a directory. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The reason why I said directory is because when you take most of the no code courses you see around, the first thing has to be like a to do list app. Then the next thing is a directory.
Yeah.
They're not very complex products. It's either a to do or a task management application or a directory. Like you can go wrong with any of those three. So that's how people
So,
build it. So what's the, I mean, coming back from, yeah, go ahead. You want to say something? Go ahead, please.
so that's how people learn. But I don't learn that way. I'm now at the point where I'm realizing that I don't learn that way. Um, So I like to understand the principle behind the models. And when I first discovered Bubble, that was what they offered. At the time, they had about 12 videos. Was it
Yeah.
12? Was it 12 or 7? They had videos. They had videos on the site. And each video spoke to a principle. And I think that Bubble needs to go back to that because it's very important for people to learn the principle behind the model. So people know how to click, they know what to click, but the principle behind what they are doing is always I'm finding a struggle. So for the few people I've worked with, the principle behind the thing, they kind of struggle with it, and so you see it in the way they build their workflows, the way they connect things, and all that. So for me, I just went through the videos. I understand the principle behind each thing in bubble. And once I did, so and that's how I learn. Once I understand the principle behind the thing, I
You
can,
just,
it's like once I get it, I can do anything. So I stop thinking that, oh, it's just one way. You can do anything, really. That's how I learn. Maybe for others it's different, but that's how my mind works. So I think building a to-do app and or going through some of these courses that people go through would have been boring for me, would have been difficult to
yeah.
follow and all that. So yeah.
So as someone who I personally, okay, I would say I personally I learn by teaching it, right? That's how I learn it. So I really don't learn by following a tutorial. So I prefer to make mistakes and then I will go teach it. That's the way I learn. So that's why I
Mm.
have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel. So I just thought, okay, I think there's a way I could replicate this stuff. So I just learned by teaching all the people. But you see, like I think one thing that no code does is to give African founders chance to build their own product because the unit comparison in terms of prices and cost brings Africans back a whole lot, and the number of coders per you know per 1,000 or per million, it's a whole lot. It's not a whole lot. Sorry, it's not a whole lot, and comparing the price that's going to take you to afford the service of a developer, like you said, you couldn't afford it at that point. So, like as an African founder, how did you really approach the using Bubble or the whole no code space in general?
Okay, so for me, like I said, I was just looking to build the product out. So I was also fairly new to the startup ecosystem, and so I didn't really know much about it. So that's the plus and the minus. It's good to know about it. I didn't know much about it. But I will say caveat, I've worked in tech for a bit. I've delivered software projects, large software projects. I do, so I did have some background in that. So even though I don't write code, I am familiar. I'm familiar with the
Yeah,
terms. I'm familiar with the terms. So when somebody is talking about databases, I know how those work. I know about relational databases and all of that. So when I was coming in, for me, it was just to build a product, right? So I didn't think about the startup ecosystem at all. I didn't even, it was not a thing, it wasn't a factor. But when I started sharing with people that I'm saying, oh, I built this, and they're like, oh, what language or who built it? And I say, oh, I did, but I built it with no code. So what I encountered was
yeah,
a lot of so at the beginning a lot of derision from coders. You have to understand that at the time, so you have to understand that early on we had Andela coming to Nigeria. Andela was here. So
yes,
people
yes, they were.
people, were developers, were software developers, and they were mainstream. So software development had become mainstream. No code. So for software, and it's still an ongoing battle between software developers and no code people who
Yeah.
no code developers, because I think we are all developers, right? It's still an ongoing battle. Every other day, there's somebody that pops up and says something derisively about the no code ecosystem, and so just like that, the initial reactions I got was that it was very, it can't work. Mm, it's
Yeah.
not, it couldn't possibly work and a lot of that. I was able to show quite a few, especially when I'm doing API integrations, and then I'm like, oh, so whenever
Yeah.
I remember whenever I would talk to a developer, and the and I'll just say, okay, can I get the postman collection, or can I just, and I always have, so at the beginning I would always struggle around the authentication, but well, once I just ask them, okay, how does your authentication work? Once I'm able to get that, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. It's just like using a bearer token, and you're like, oh, I've authenticated, I'm good, I've finished. Then the guy on the other end is like, your developer has finished. I'll be like, no, it's me. I'm the developer. I finished. I'm done. They're always surprised, pleasantly surprised. But at the initial stages, it was quite difficult to get people to accept it. And even now we are gaining some sort of acceptance. But even now, it's still a bit. People still, what's the word now? People still approach no code development with a fair amount of skepticism. I think
Yeah.
that's the best case we have. That's the best case we have right now. People still a bit skeptical, or they don't
About it.
take it
But
serious. They don't take it as something
okay.
serious. Yeah, I was sharing with a friend on this group where I built the website. I actually, so what I did was, it was December. We'd been running this group on WhatsApp um for months, really. And they were like, oh, we should have a directory of all the members, etc. And then they were throwing stuff around, and there were big names and big things. And I was like, you people are stressing me out. Can I see the design? I was like, this design, this everything. They were like, yeah, yeah, quite. And I'm like, no, this design is pretty simple. Let's do it. So I was able to manage to get them to like, okay, let's pay for bubble and all that. I think I did it. I started the week before Christmas. And by the 24th, which my mom's birthday, I was done. I told them, okay, I'm done. But there may be bugs because I really didn't pay attention. If you see any bugs, just, you send them to me, and then we can work through the bugs. And all of them were shocked. But what didn't happen is that they don't take it seriously. I think it's silly because they can call Lola and then she people meetings and then
She'll do
it's
it.
what
Yeah. It's very fast.
it's it's very fast. They don't take it seriously because of the way no code people are able to turn around issues and resolve them. So we also have that. But mostly it's a lot of skepticism. Like they think, oh, yeah. And I
But
think
let go
part is
ahead.
protectionism around software development. I think that people, because I remember, so I have a full time job, of course, and I was sharing with developers in my team, like, oh, so you can do this, and one of them was like, ah, will we still have work? And I was like, no, this is not how it works, you know. So I think a lot of people still have that mindset in the back of their mind. So sorry. Please go ahead.
No, no, it's fine. It's fine. I've seen a whole lot of people have this mindset, even while teaching no code or building with no code. People like things the hard way, and I think like a lot of people think the more serious it is, the more difficult it is, the more profitable it's going to be. So I want to ask, is it about the no code or code, or isn't it about solving problems the best way you can, right?
You've said it all. It should be about solving the problem in the best way you can. But that, in theory, sounds fantastic. But the reality of life really means that somebody that has learned something that is very technical will feel a bit threatened.
Yeah.
by that, and yeah, and then we feel a need to show that no code is also technical, but at the end of the day, is it solving the problem you need it to solve? It doesn't matter if it's an Excel sheet. It doesn't really matter if it's an Excel sheet. It doesn't matter if it's a notepad file. We have these conversations. I work in enterprise, and we have this conversation when we're talking about business process engineering. And I remember one day they were like, everybody was so focused on the software, the application, and we're like, no, this is not what we're saying. We need you to come back. No, if you're using piece of paper, that's the tech. It's all about the business process, right? And solving the problem. That should be your baseline. What's the process? What are you using to solve it? The end. Reiterate it a couple of times. Once you've done that, then look at it. What can I do to improve this? Then maybe automation can come in. So I have an example. So we do trainings in our office, and
Yeah.
HR is always in charge of lunch, and lunch is always a disaster. You know how we are humans really. Humans and food, there's always a hustle around the food and all. And one of the HR business partners, she was in charge of training that day. And I think she looked at it and said, "This is crazy. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give everybody a tally number. So if
Yeah.
you don't have a tally, you don't get a meal if you're not part of the training." That is tech. She solved the problem. She has solved the problem. It does not mean that somebody that would build a lunch reservation application is any better than her that's done a tally. No, really. She solved the problem. And that's how I think people should look at it. It's my personal opinion, but that's how we should look at it. What is the problem? How do I need to solve it? Whether I need to use code to solve it, whether I can use no code to solve it, as long as the problem is being solved. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. You're right. I once spoke to this CEO, right, on the live chat like this. I think that was on Twitter a while ago. I think that was last year, and he has gotten funded. He runs a logistic company. That's what he runs, and he just told me, he said, "Paul, I've been operating my business with Excel spreadsheet. Like my entire business, I got funded everything. I've been operating my business with a spreadsheet to operate my business. I didn't need anything. I didn't have to do anything. All I just have to do was to enter the details of people who I'm tracking, the properties I'm going to carry or deliver, and that's what I'm be using. And there's this other delivery company here in Lagos that I love so much. My a friend of mine used them to deliver something to me, a birthday gift to me, and I went there to check it because she would talk well about them, and I went ahead and I checked it, and I realized that the everything they had, they had no website. The only thing they had was this link in bio. That was what they had. They had no app. It's a full funded delivery company. They had no app. They had nothing. They just have LinkedIn bio, and the LinkedIn bio says, "What do you want to pick up? What do you want to deliver? How many kg?" And that was just it. You just click any of those links there, and they respond to you, and that. So, in my opinion, just like you've said, I think even here in Africa and in other parts of the world, we amplify the technology more than the problem. And so the technology, we want a very grandiose technology, and we don't really remember the problem that we're solving. And so we get so carried away while trying to use the best technology, why we feel like, okay, the problem is still there. So I think, like, spending like 1 year on the technology and 0 hours on the problem. So I think it's really terrible. But coming back to Trader, right? I saw I when Bubble went out the last year. Yeah, that was last year. We had communication, and you were working on Trader even now. How did you, as an African, as a as someone in Lagos, how did you? What was the financial implications for you? Getting started with Trader on Bubble, migrating to Bubble, paying there was workload spike, because I know that no code platforms can make decisions that doesn't favor you sometimes. How did you approach all of that? There was bubble pricing hike, there was workload counting, there've been a whole lot of things that you've had to do. You had to relearn bubble all over again because they switched the engine. How did you approach it yourself?
Okay, so thank you. So I'll start with the last question you asked about the responsive engine. Hmm. Okay, so this is the thing about learning about principles behind the model. Once you know the principle behind the model, even when things change and you can adapt, you can adapt. The one person that I would credit with learning about building responsive applications and websites is Gregory John because I
Yeah,
was it was
he's
so
an
scattered.
amazing guy.
I was struggling. I'm not a designer. I was struggling. It was messy, and I kept trying to find out. So I found from the forum that Gregory had a course on how to make
Yeah,
your website responsive, and I took that course. And then we used to. So I learned from him that responsiveness is math. The screen has a weight, and so you just need to learn how to do proportions. And we would use groups to make everything okay. So and because I had learned that principle, when the responsive engine came out, I just said, okay, they said the flex cube. I said, okay, use flex cube or flex box. But flex
Flexbus.
cube
Yeah,
is actually a key application to Flexbox. I just took a while to just learn about the containers. It didn't take long at all. It was easy because again, like I said, I had learned the principle behind building responsive websites. And I did take a course. So Gregory did a course so around that time, so I was able to pay. At the time, the dollar was not as high as it is today. You could easily rustle up the
yeah,
money and pay. Um, so that's how I learned that on the price hike. Wow. I remember the first one. I was actually out of town. I'd gone to Ibadan. I was on my way back when I saw all the chatter. It was insane. The chatter was insane, and I expected myself to panic, and that's when I knew
okay,
that I was a founder because for some reason, I did not panic. My mind just kept saying, you are going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You just have to think about how to solve this problem.
yeah,
And that was before they now backed down. So there was the initial one which was really messy, and they backed down after the opera. So that first one passed. But even then, I started feeling a little unsettled about Bubble and the way Bubble viewed African founders. So I'd become a
yeah.
little, I began to worry. And then because we were not getting any, how will I say now, there wasn't any conversations about founders in any other market apart from the
Africa.
North
Yeah,
American and the
yes,
European market. They were talking about anybody else except those two um, continents. And that's when I started to worry. That's why I started thinking about alternatives. Um, yeah, so that was the first time I started thinking about it. And then after that, even though they backed down, we were all like, we know they backed down, but something is still coming, and decisions were being taken.
yeah,
And when the final numbers came out, I initially did not transition. I stayed on the plan I was on, just to check out my workflow numbers. But because of the way I've built what I've built, so sometimes luck can be a great enabler
yeah.
because when you don't have a lot, you learn how to make do. So Africa is notoriously low bandwidth. Nigeria is notoriously low bandwidth. If you have to build something where people are downloading images or you, the phone has to be online for transactions to happen, you will know what it means to build in a low bandwidth environment because You don't have any margin of error. You don't. So I had learned to work with that. So the way I've structured trader is in such a way that I don't do a lot of search in the middle of a transaction. So for those that don't know, Trader is a SaaS platform for traders who sell fast-moving consumer goods products.
Yeah.
So, but they sell it at scale. So for in that scenario, a transaction is a sale. Like somebody is recording a sale.
Yeah.
Nothing must go wrong. I didn't have any margin to make
Of
mistake.
error. Yeah.
So I learned how to build that. I learned how to like front load data. So for one of the things I remember doing before Bubble became faster, because Bubble used to be way slower,
Yes.
was to front load data. So, for example, if I always had, so we have a list of transactions table that is massive. It is, I always knew it was going to be big. I think we've gone over 5 million records. We are past that now. But what I learned to do was to front load the data because with transactions like that, especially in bookkeeping, you have to do incremental records on the
To be
transaction
added.
number.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's very, very important. So I learned to, so I have a method in which I front load the data so I don't have to do a search just to create a new transaction record. So I learned all of that, how to, search customers, how to display. One other resource that really helped me was Peter Amley's he
Cyber
has two books out, not the
cyber
security
security.
one,
Okay.
not the one on global security. There was one, the first one he had um, was really, really, it is a great resource. So if you can find that resource, it's really great if you're building in an African market. So I've taken all the learnings on how to present data to the customer without them knowing that, you have processes running in the back. I learned all of that. So that helped me. That really, really, really helped me. So I did a fair bit of re-engineering for the workload, but then I was still able to bring my workload under the plan that we are on. We are on the starter plan, which is 175K. So I don't think we do more than maybe 170, 160 monthly. And we have huge transaction count, but I've been able to use that to manage that process. So I did some engineering last year. We had to redo the entire app so that, because I built it learning,
Yeah.
which is a funny thing to build. I built it learning, and so there were a lot of. I just felt, look, let me start fresh and build something really much leaner, more scalable. So I did that last year. But that's how I've been able to manage that transition with the workload. I still get workload spikes, but it's not frequent. It's not
Yeah.
frequent, and I'm learning how to
Reduce it.
reduce that. That spikes always come when you are scheduling on a list. I try to use recursive for that as much as I can, but sometimes processes, because recursive is very weird. If you don't have all the constraints together, you would be generating thousands and thousands of records without knowing. So I try and work on that. So that's how I manage that. Then finally on the cost. So when I
Yeah.
started out, it was $16. The starter plan was
Yeah. I remember.
$16. It was $16, and $16 at that time was like less than 5,000 six ish. Um,
It was
but then
165 naira per. About one, maybe 165 naira to
it
145 naira to a dollar.
was, yeah, it was so cheap. We didn't think about it. Nobody thought about it. We didn't consider that this could be a thing. In hindsight, we should have. Um, but even at the $16, it was slow. Bubble was very slow. So I had to quickly move from the $16 to, I remember at some point I was on the $185 plan just to gain speed
Spain, yeah, yeah, I
because of
remember.
speed. That $185 plan just so that I could have a faster app. Um, then later, of course, I moved back down after we had stabilized at the time. So when the new pricing came out last year, it was a tough one. It still is, because bubble just is too pricey in the current state it is for African markets. It's because of the exchange rate. It's really it's tough. It's tough. So you just have to. So just like I shared with you yesterday, there are people I've committed to people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trader is a part of their business. If any, so and because I always have a sense of personal responsibility when I've committed to someone.
Yeah, to these people, yeah,
So we just have to find ways to make things work and generate more income. So what we need is we need more revenue to be able to match up with the changes in the exchange rate. So my subscription has gone up from, in terms in naira value, it's gone from 30K, and right now it's about 65. It's, and that's double. And how
they,
much are we
yeah,
charging? How much are we charging the customer? So you just have to find ways to increase revenue, so that we can match up with the bubble pricing. So that's where you need to remove your building hat and start thinking like, and put on
a business
your
person, yeah,
business person hat on, and start thinking of ways. So one thing I'd always flirted with Trader was payments. And now we're still in the process because payments is very interesting in Nigeria. Acceptability of payment systems is also very interesting. So it's one thing to integrate with the banks, which we've done. We've integrated with a couple of banks. We've done Stanbic.
yeah,
If you have a Stanbic account, we can automate payments for your business. If you have an Access Bank account, we can automate payments for your business. And our payments are real time. You get value. It's instant. At least for Stanbic, it is instant. For Providus, it is instant. For Access Bank, we are still in conversation because those ones are not very serious human beings. But for Stanbic and for Providus,
yeah,
we have real-time value that we are able to provide. But that's still a bit tricky in selling it to the customer.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah. So
following
that's
up, yeah. You say what?
so that's how I've been able to manage, because with payments you can charge per
Transaction, yeah,
transaction. That's how I've been able to. We are still negative red. We are in the red.
yeah, yeah. I just wanted to say that I think lots of no-code platform don't really like Africa a lot. It's my personal opinion. So I'm not sure they think of the African market whenever they are making very key decisions. I think the only platform that I've seen it's Flutterflow. It's not because it's not because I build with Flutterflow, but I just think they have this priority pricing for any founder who's building with Flutterflow who is in Africa. I think if you are in America, you get to pay 70, and if you're in Africa, pay 20 a month. If you're
Yeah.
in Africa, so they have this priority pricing if you're based here. I think, and also they support the learning community in Africa a lot. I think the last time we did something with Flutterflow, we did a training. We handled the training on behalf of Flutterflow here. I think they sponsored about 4,000 persons, all expense paid to actually learn how to build mobile applications with Flutterflow. So I really think I think Africa is less of a builder market. I think it's more of a freelancing market for most of them. So they don't really think, okay, what's going to happen to African businesses whenever they're increasing prices and making very, very key decisions. So I also want to ask. So I also want to ask. You know, we've spoken before, and you were talking about that you wanted to build for, you know, you were going to research building for a different market entirely, and not just for Africa, right? I've been in that. I've been thinking of that for a while myself, and I went to get this book. I said I was going to be a millionaire in a weekend, right? Millionaire weekend, by I said I
Oh,
was going
very
to be a millionaire in a weekend, but I'm still looking for the money now.
all right.
But so I think a lot of Africans need to also start building for the European market, so that when there's this shocker in the industry, or probably there's this price hike that is happening, you're gonna have a whole lot of um you're gonna have
Sorry.
a whole lot of methods or
To
means
push in
to a
this.
whole lot of cushion, yeah, around you to cushion the market. So if you were going to start up again, you know, you're going to start up again, and you say, okay, I'm gonna, with all I know now, you know, I understand bubble, I understand what I'm doing currently. I'm not trying to learn. I built this product and I like it, but I want to start again. What's gonna be what's gonna be the approach for you, and what's gonna be the key sector, you know, the industry, what's gonna be the industry for you that you think, if I you know, taking a very holistic view of bubble, you say, I think bubble is going to fit, or no code is going to fit perfectly into this industry, and it's going to solve this problem, and I'm going to make a huge return on investment at an African, even though I'm not going out of Africa or finding a different market entirely.
So that's a tough question. So first of all, just like I said with you, there are certain things that you feel like there's certain things that you feel like so just like I was sharing with you, there's certain things that you feel like what do you what do you build for the world? I'm sure there are a lot of problems and stuff you can build. But if you're building with no code, you are either building a SaaS or you're building a Chrome plugin or a mobile app. Those are the things you can build. You're not building core tech unless you are already a software developer with traditional code. So for example, there's this guy that's building on Bubble. He has a plugin where you can move your Figma designs into Bubble
Yeah, yeah,
the
I think
exact
I know
same way.
him. Designer. I think
Yes,
it's called Designer or something. I think I know him.
designer, no,
Design. Okay.
design with
Okay.
it. And I'm not. That's not my archetype. I'm not that person. So the things I can build for the world, right now I'm just exploring to see what I can build. And again, also my background. So I've always worked in enterprise, financial institutions mostly. So I've done banking, I've done private lending, I've done trade, and now I'm in insurance. So if I was going to have a next act, I would definitely be building for insurance because personally, and I find something I do is I'm able to when I'm in a space, I'm able to because of that's where Bubble has helped me. I'm able to like look at the problems and say, oh, this is missing. This could be great here. This might work here because I know I can build it. So if I was going to have a second act, it would definitely be insurance. And the beautiful thing about insurance is that insurance is extremely traditional anywhere in the world. So, and a lot of people are focused more on the AI and the intersection of AI with insurance
Yeah.
from policy generation to claims processing. In fact, a lot of people are the majority are focused on claims processing, and there are people that are being dropped. There are circles that people, well, I feel personally that enough attention is not being paid to. So then that's where I always choose to shine. And so that's what I would do. Will I make money will I become a millionaire in one weekend? Not likely. Um, not likely.
I'm
But if I
trying
was going
to.
to do
I'm
anything,
really trying to.
do
I'm trying
insurance,
to. The book is
you
like my
would
daily
have to
companion now.
To be able to do that, you would have to either be a developer already, and then you can use no code tools to build something that is more core tech than just a SaaS. So like I don't know his name, but I do know he has that. I have not been subscribed, I should. But someone like that, of course, he is making money because of what he's been able to build here.
Okay.
So if I would do
Okay.
anything right now, it would be insurance.
Insurance, right? Insurtech, right? I think Nigeria is about 0.2%. Nigeria is just, I think insurance is just 0.2%. 0.2, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a whole lot of work. I mean, talking about insurtech, right? I saw this. There's this company in, I think it was in Kenya or Tanzania, partnered with mobile networks. Okay, I think it's Kenya. They're the one that our network, very popular. I can't tell what I can't remember what the name of the network is right now, but they have a very popular mobile money network, and it runs. They literally
Oh,
have like a M-Pesa, yeah, they have a very huge chunk. So this company partnered with M-Pesa to give InsurTech via their mobile phone. So instead of using mobile applications, they just use USSD. So with USSD, you are able to access you're able to buy insurance, and so you buy insurance just like you buy recharge cards. So you don't really kind of look for a very fancy mobile application. So as long as you're buying recharge card, some parts of that recharge card it's gonna be taken as your, to fund your insurance plan, based depending on the cover, depending on what you are
kind of better
covering.
because it differs from insurance
Yeah,
products are very interesting, but they are very traditional. All over the world, insurance is extremely, they're very, very conservative.
yeah. I maybe that, but the funny thing about this company is that they went under. I do not know why they went under. If it was because of
But
low profit.
I'm not able to share. I know
You
why.
say what?
I know
Okay.
why.
I don't know why they
I know
went
why.
under.
I cannot
Oh,
say. I can't say it.
okay. Okay. So
Okay,
go ahead.
let me do it. It's because insurance is not bought; it is sold.
You have to explain now. If you
I
started, you
can't.
have to finish it.
Insurance is not bought; it is sold.
Okay.
You don't wake up in the morning and say, insurance is not food. You don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm now going to go and buy insurance. You don't do that. Somebody sells it to you.
Okay. So that means that particular company, they were selling insurance to people who doesn't. They were giving insurance to people who don't care.
Who will not buy it?
Oh, okay. Okay. Now I get it. Now I get it.
That's why. When you were talking about it, I wanted to say, well, so what were the numbers like?
The numbers were very huge. I can't remember the numbers right now, but they were very, very huge. They started from so the CEO of the company was working for a leading insurtech, right? So he left that insurtech, with a new idea, not like a novel idea, but the novel idea was just saying, I'm going to partner with Basati or Empasa to launch a new line of products, and they got a very huge, they got funding, huge funding. They are told their investor that if we get that, we already have M-Pesa, and M-Pesa have these huge amounts of customers. So if we have this funding, we'll be able to. We already have access. So, because of that particular access they had, so they were able to get very, very huge amounts of money. You can read them up on TechCrunch. So their stories on is on TechCrunch. You can read them up. It's not a very very good story after all. So like talking about how to. This is my opinion. You said that if you're going to build other things outside SaaS or mobile, you'd have to be some sort of a coder before you're able to build all of that. But really, I think they're very simple problems that Really, you don't really need any of those stuff. I think it really depends on how you see SaaS or how you see, all of this stuff. I was watching an EO. Should I call it a documentary? So it's a channel called EO on YouTube, and I was watching how a guy made $3.5 billion just delivering boxes. You know, delivering stuff in boxes. And he was making so much money doing that. So I personally think that they are very tiny problems. I've seen some OGs on Twitter solve very, very tiny problems without needing so much technology, something that Flutterflow could build and something that Bubble can build. And even there are tools now, tools like BuildShip, you know, BuildShip can enable you to create APIs on the go, things that weren't possible before now that you
before.
really require a developer to do. And there was one tool I discovered yesterday. I think it's called Restrain. Not very sure about it. I'm looking for my mouse. Okay, I'm looking for it. Um, I saw it yesterday from there's a newsletter I received. Yeah, retail. That's the name
Mm,
of the tool. So I could probably just share my screen and show it to you. It's a very cool tool. I'm starting to explore it. So I think that a lot of Africans can also get into this AI magic moment that's happening around the place. That's happening every stuff. Lots of tools does not really require you to be someone who can code, or someone who can code or do any of those stuff. There's an AI. Do you know SynFlow, right?
yes.
Yeah, SynFlow. That cool tool for making voice calls. Creating marketing stuff that can allowing some robot to do marketing for you on the go, right? This particular tool can help you build a product like SynFlow. I know SynFlow was built on Bubble, but definitely with a lot of developer assistance. Definitely, they had to create lots of custom plugin to do some of the things that they're doing there. But this particular tool, I just figured it yesterday. I'm not affiliated to them in any way, but I saw it yesterday and I realized that you could almost build SynFlow simply by calling the APIs that is provided here. Like, this particular tool can make calls for you, it can schedule calls for you. I mean, it can just do a whole lot. So I'm thinking, if you're an African and you think you want to get into maybe the real estate market in America, where they are always making calls all the time, they're always following up with leads, and they say like, okay, I'm going to build something for the construction industry or for the insurance industry, since you're in insurtech, and you say this because you guys are always calling, trying to call and make offers to a lot of people. So if you're building something like this for insurtech, there's going to be an automated caller that can call like 400 persons a day. I mean, an average human being
Okay.
could call maybe like, I don't know how many persons an average human being can call a day. Let's just say maybe one person every 5 minutes. So that would mean how many persons an hour? That would mean um that would mean 12 persons an hour. 12 persons every hour, and yeah, 20 persons an is it 20? 12 persons an hour. And that would mean if a person is working 10 hours a day, that would mean 120 persons. But if you are using such an AI tool, this can really call as many persons as your money can buy every single day. So if you have like maybe 20,000 customers to call, that means this particular tool can call 20,000 persons, depending on the workload that you're going to put on it, within a few hours, right? Within a
Mm,
few hours or within a few days. I don't know. I'm
okay. It's
just,
interesting. It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting.
oh my
Looking at
goodness.
all the things. Okay. Are you back now?
you hear me?
I'm just gonna wait for you to come back.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, okay, awesome. So I said I figured out this tool yesterday, and there are lots of other tools like this that would enable you to build for any niche industry in Africa or outside Africa. And I think it's something to try. For me, I wasn't building for the outside market before now because I had a payment problem. That was the biggest problem for me. I had a payment problem. Stripe, they are a very they have terrible relationship with Mother Africa. Stripe have very terrible relationship. I mean, they refuse to date. They're like Stripe is like
They
that
don't even
boyfriend.
know. They don't
Is that what?
know. Yeah. They don't, and it's just like bubble, I think. Like Stripe, Nigeria is not even an option. I understand payments is difficult, but Nigeria is not an option when to set up Stripe, right? It's not an option.
It's
I
not
don't
an
know why
option.
it is. No, it's never no. You can't even. It won't work. I honestly don't know. For bubble, well, they have made some moves recently, in terms of, and to be fair to the bubble team, they have made some moves. They do, they have reached out to Folusha, who is now one of the bubble ambassadors. They've done some trainings at in universities mostly. So they have done some outreach. We've asked them about the parity pricing, and well, they said they will take a look at it. Um, yeah, they have made some moves, but I think for a lot of us, it since it works and it serves the purpose we need it to serve, we still use it. Um, but they have made some moves, but it's indicative of a lot of platforms, and I think that we can't. So while yes, I would say, oh, these platforms they're not even thinking about like outreach, etc. I'm also aware that they are startups and it's a business. They've taken VC funding, which can be a bit harsh, and so they have to make income. They have to make bank. But what I think, one company that I do know is doing great with outreach to other markets apart from Europe and North America is Flutterflow, and that's one of my, apart from the parity pricing, just the way Flutterflow just reaches out in India, in Africa, it's been really great to see. Even in their communications to you as a user, it's really, really, you see that, oh, whoever is handling the comms, the, the notifications and the newsletters is really passionate about the founder and you know the things they can do with Flutterflow. I wish Bubble would do that. Bubble now has a new. He has a new. Bubble has a new community admin. The guy seems. He seems very. So far, so good. I think. Yeah.
Flutterflow, the founder of Flutterflow, one of the co-founder of Flutterflow is an African from
Exactly.
Ethiopia. So I think probably that's why
That's
Ethiopia have they have an Indian origin. They have Indians. They have African. I mean, Ethiopia is just a very unique.
oh, they're just African.
No, not really. Like Ethiopians and Uganda, they're pretty unique. They have
That's
Indian
because
descent.
we have Indians there. The name is Indians moved in there. Yeah. So
Yeah,
there
they
will be
moved in there. Yeah.
that have Indian parenting. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have Indian descent and they have African descent. Maybe that's why the CEO has this thing
Sure.
for
Yeah.
for Indians and for
Yeah.
people living in Africa.
Definitely. And that then brings us to like, what do we need to build? We can't keep relying on others to save us. We have to. build our own things so we can be priority. So if there's anything to be said for representation, that is something, it just speaks to representation. And honestly, it's been really good. It's very heartwarming when you see, you know, the work they are doing with in India, in Africa, in places where other platforms would not even consider. It's really heartwarming to see.
Yeah, definitely. I really can't wait for. I'm not a hardcore dev, but if there's something I would love to invest in, would be Africans building their own. I know it's a word thing, but I would love to see an African build a very, very robust no-code application, because I think that they will build it for Africans. They will build the tool for Africans. They will not just build it for just for the West. So at least by then you can have African type of banking system included. You can have um, yeah, you can just have things that speak to Africans included in all of this stuff. I mean, I was talking about payment earlier. One thing that really helped me when it comes to payment, because I couldn't collect payment for a very long time. I was I still have money on, I think, Gumroad. I still have money on Udemy. Lots of other places where I tried to make a living off. I simply couldn't collect them because they all have
Lemon
Stripe
squeezy, they
integrations.
don't accept lemon squeezy at all.
No, 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 they don't accept, and it's just everything has to be Stripe or PayPal integrations, right? So if you have most of these enterprise platforms don't allow type of any other type of application.
Wise,
But
even to Wise,
no,
payouts to
Wise is not longer available. It's no longer available in Nigeria anymore to Nigerians. Yeah, you can only pay. You can only
you
you
can
can
only
you can
can't withdraw into a Nigerian bank. No.
you can't even open a Wise account as a Nigerian right now.
Ah, okay. I opened mine
Way
way.
back, right? Yeah,
So basically, I just use it to
yeah, you can't.
collect, and so if I need to pay for something, I just use that.
No, you can't. So the payment I use every day now, every time now, is just lemon squeezy for selling anything that has to be digital, because I don't know how they do it, but they kind of resolve the payment very well, even though they're pretty more expensive than Stripe, but they resolve the payment very well for you, and you don't really have any issue with their. You don't
Um,
really have any issue, irrespective of where you're from. Doesn't matter.
if, there's this new bank called Clever Bank. I've not tried it, but they're saying you can open a bank account and American bank, a foreign bank account, even though you're Nigerian. So you may want to check that out. I think.
I didn't get that. What's the name again?
There's this new bank, they're a YC company, YC backed company called Clever Bank. So you can
Clever
open
Bank.
for a foreign account. I have not checked them out, so I cannot say. Um, you may want to check them out. At least to
No,
be able
no,
to get
no. Okay.
that.
There are other companies doing that. There are other companies doing that in the African market. There's GeekyPay. There is Gray. I'm not talking about like opening a bank account. I'm talking about a payment infrastructure that you can use, like a Stripe alternative. That's what I'm talking about. So these guys, they give you a bank account and they resolve payment to those virtual accounts, which is not no big deal. But I'm talking about a payment infrastructure that you can use to sell digital products. So you can use to sell SaaS. That you can integrate to your mobile applications, just like you would integrate Stripe into it, because you can't have a product and tell everybody pay to my bank account. Pay to my bank account. You're just gonna die because you have too many requests, right? And it's not very comfortable. But what you're looking for something that people you can automate. So with Lemon Squeezy now, I can actually build a product and just automate it the same way in Stripe. So I think if you want to handle payment, especially for foreigners, I think it's something to check out. I have no affiliation with Lemon Squeezy in any way, but I think it's just a very sweet product that is solving problems for the African market, and I think that for founders who are looking forward to launching elsewhere, Lemon Squeezy is a very good way. It's a very good Stripe alternative
collect to collect
to
money.
you said to collect payment, yeah,
Yeah,
to collect payment, and it resolves
but then
everything. You can handle refunds, yeah.
it still, but at the end of the day, it still goes back to the platform, right? If the platform does not accept lemon squeezing, there's nothing you can do.
No, no, no. Lemon Squeezy have okay, no, I'm talking about personal products, right? Lemon
Personal
Squeezy
product.
it's not it's such a new project in comparison to Stripe. So I'm talking about like say you're building a bubble application and you
For
want
you
to
to
deliver that bubble application to the market, so you can easily use Lemon Squeezy to collect money from
collect it.
elsewhere. Yeah, yeah. So for your app, you don't really have to depend on Apple Pay, any of this Stripe Pay,
I
anything. You could just
I think for
integrate that.
Nigeria for now, they don't need Apple Pay.
Don't worry, we'll find it. Lola, it's
We
been
don't need that. We don't need Apple Pay. Another thing, another big problem that we had
yeah.
bubble, I remember now, was paying. Actually paying. You could have naira and paying the dollar amount. That was a crazy time. But things are better now. I use Providus. So I use a Providus business account, and their card works everywhere. It's a little bit pricier, but the cards work. So for those who
Oh,
struggle with making payments to Bubble, you may want to try that out.
okay, okay, okay. I'm pretty sure they will. Never tried Providus. I tried it several times and it's not really good.
You
Um,
should. You should. If
okay,
Providus, they have great tech. They have great people working for them. You should try it out. I
okay,
can give. Or I'll give you a good connect.
okay, no problem. I'll try it out. Thank you very much. Lola, it's been super awesome chatting with you on the call.
Yeah, you
Thank
have.
you.
You
Um,
have.
I'm pretty sure that just talking about all of these problems, I'm sure that a lot of persons will really see that building products for Africa is just about it's really about solving problem and no bragging right about the tech that's used. It's just solve your problem and make ton of money and go solve other problems too. I think so. Thank you so
That's
much.
a lovely way to end. Thank you so much for your time. Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so, and thanks for having me. Thanks for allowing me ramble.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Thank you. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be more. So there's gonna be a whole lot more. I'm beginning a founders collab, right, on a different YouTube channel entirely. So because
Okay.
I think that a lot of founders, not just in Africa, founders in diaspora, Africa, they really don't meet a lot. So I've been speaking to a lot of my friends who are founders, and I think that they're building in isolation. So they're getting funding and it's hitting. You just need to collaborate with one or reach the next level. Lots of guys elsewhere, they have communities. So um, definitely I'm going to be reaching out to you again. So it's really cool. We're just going to have discussion, but it's not going to be like for everybody, but it's going to be really, really a
Just for fun.
Nigerian kind of thing, right? Yeah, it's going to be like a Nigerian kind of thing, Nigerian problem.
I'll be very interested in that.
Yeah, so I'm starting it very soon. I'm already having founders on my calendar already. So hopefully, I think on the 11th will be the first time we're going to run through it. And I've been talking to a couple of persons. They're all going to be founders, and other founders can reach out to these guys for help and see the kind of advice they can get. And those founders too can reach out to you for help. And I think it's just cool to allow everybody ask for help.
Especially for founders who build in the no code space. For founders that build in traditional code, they have a lot of forums and they just run roughshod over everybody that is not building with traditional code and all that. But something for no code that
Okay,
no code
okay,
founders would be really great because that does not exist. That doesn't
okay.
exist.
We're go-
We are talking
okay,
about building no code solutions, especially for this market and all that.
Okay, we'll definitely try that. Thank you very much, Lola. You're awesome. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
staying with me on the call for one
Thank you,
hour. I like this.
everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
guys. Thank you. It's been
Okay.
wonderful chatting with you guys, and I'm gonna see you again on Thursday by 2 p.m. WAT, and we will talk about no code. I will talk about someone. I will bring definitely bring someone again who's in exploiting no code space to come share their thoughts and how they've been able to build products or freelance or do something useful in the no code space. Thank you very much for hanging out with me, guys. I'll see you next week, next week Thursday.